We last left off in our story with Isagi's team beating Rin's team thanks to the usage of Isagi's newly discovered ability, Metavision. He has yet to know the full details of this world-class weapon as of right now. Of course, Isagi knows how useful this weapon is, as shown through his incredible use of achieving him a goal-scoring opportunity against Rin directly, but it was also an incredibly big drain of Isagi's stamina. So how will Isagi prepare himself for the World 5 match, and will he be able to give his team a chance at clinching a victory? Well, that's what we're here to find out today. Happy holidays everyone. Before we continue, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. All support on this channel is greatly appreciated, alongside joining my Discord server, and follow all my socials for more Raving Geeks shenanigans. And finally, check out the BLUELOCK New World movie trailer releasing on Monday 30th of December. It's a fan-made BLUELOCK movie project being produced and directed by Aero that I'm also helping with. Links to Aero's channel can be found down below or in the pinned comments. Go subscribe to be the first to see the trailer when it drops. When finally setting foot onto the pitch, Isagi can now size up his opponents to start testing himself against the World 5 players, and in what seemed to be in a rather mocking manner on the World 5's behalf, they treated this game kind of like a joke. Of course, no one on Isagi's team can understand a word from the opposition they face, so they all get into positions for the match's kickoff, with Isagi and Bachara starting the exchange. The World 5 don't try that hard to stop Isagi's team's push, whilst Isagi starts with utilising Bachara as the pass anchor, and then Chigiri as the crosser down the wing. Nagi, upon receiving the ball, manages to do a back pass towards Isagi's position past Luna and Pablo, all the while Isagi briefly taps into his Metavision for the best positioning possible to score the first point of the game. It was quite an impressive goal, and Loki admits he was even impressed by that display of skill by Isagi, but we should all know how this would actually go past this point. With the World 5 actually ramping it up a notch, they quickly demolish Isagi's team. Each player of the World 5 besides Luna had scored, making the current score 1-4. Isagi was greatly frustrated, but also amazed at the level that the World 5 were at. He knows he has an exceedingly long way to go before even matching up against the opposing team's youngest player, Loki. Their final chance is now underway. Bachara, upon receiving the ball, lets Isagi run wild with all that he has left in the tank by passing him the ball, only for our main character to finally match up against Luna in the process. Luna gives a big compliment to Isagi, reciting that he reminds him of another player who currently plays for Spain, but of course he still has a long way to go yet before competing on his level. Plus, Isagi couldn't understand a single word he was saying. Luna effortlessly steals the ball from Isagi, who couldn't react quick enough to respond to Luna's movements, even with Metavision active. Luna makes his way upfield to score with relative ease. With the final score being 1-5, there was still a large gap yet to be taken up by the best BLUELOCK team of 5 BLUELOCK had to offer. Of course, this match was both a test for them, but more so a showcase of results for Ego himself to see BLUELOCK's progress. But our team of 5 put in an immense amount of hard work in the remaining time period whilst knowing what their next benchmarks are. This was all before the remaining 30 players had completed the second selection and played in their World 5 matches. Transitioning into the results room, the first team to enter was of course our main team of Isagi, Nagi, Burū, Chigiri and Bachara. Team number 2 was the team of Rin, Ryu, Tokimitsu, Zantetsu and Kiora, seemingly making the same choices as Nagi, Burū and Chigiri in the episode Nagi manga. Of course, if you disagree with the picks Rin's team made in this scenario, it really doesn't matter because all the teams that followed were the same as the original, which includes the loss of Kunigami to Shido. Isagi was surprised by Kunigami not being in attendance, but this was BLUELOCK after all. It wasn't certain everyone Isagi knew was capable of being the world's best striker. This was merely the process of BLUELOCK. We cut forward a bit as we get our usual spiel regarding how BLUELOCK will face up against Japan's U20 team and Sai Itoshi for the fate of BLUELOCK to be decided. Winning means Ego takes control of Japan's U20 team, losing means BLUELOCK will be shut down, leaving everyone in the facility without a proper chance to prove that they could become the world's best striker. Then finally comes the announcement of the top 6 players in the third selection. Results based off of goals scored in the first selection, feedback from the World 5, and of course Ego's own judgment. The number 1 player currently in BLUELOCK is Rin, with Isagi just behind in second place. This just makes the most sense considering Ego will intentionally give Isagi something to further strive towards. This was the motion set in place as Ego had handpicked Isagi to be in his image as a player who has the same kind of brain that he does, all the while striving as a talented learner. This was revealed during the NEL arc after all. Isagi is also behind Rin due to Isagi at this time still being an individually worse player than Rin, and Rin has likely gotten a lot more goals with his first selection journey, not to mention he was one of the 3 players to score against the World 5 team like the original story. Third place is Shido as the other individual who scored against the World 5, and as you'd expect, 4th, 5th and 6th are Karasu, Otoya and Yukimiya, and our 7th placement player actually goes to Burū. As with less opportunity for Nagi to show off more of his innovative side due to winning with Isagi in this scenario against Rin's team, it results in who I deem to be the next worthy individual to be within the top 7, plus Bachara's lack of awakening in the story is also a reason why he isn't 7th instead. The top 6 go on their merry way into their own rooms. Isagi was surprised to know that Rin was still considered above himself, so the only way to settle who's truly better would be in a final eventual clash between the two of these players on opposite teams, but for now they must learn to properly coexist. Moving forward, I could give an immense amount of detail regarding how every single match in this third selection actually occurs, but we don't actually have time for that, so I will just be covering the first match played. The original story shares similarities with our scenario. Hiyori and Nanase both get picked first to join Isagi and Rin's team, alongside with Nagi. Nagi still believes he can learn a lot from Isagi, and considering their compatibility on the field, it would surely showcase Nagi's best skills at the moment. And on the opposite team, we of course have the original team of Chigiri and these two jobbers. This match is the initial main demonstration to Ego why Isagi and Rin best fit on a team as forwards. Isagi's ability to keep pace with Rin constantly whilst using metavision, even whilst this was underdeveloped, produces insane results. Not to mention, Nagi and Chigiri refuse to sit back and let their development be outshined by Isagi's new evolution. In addition to the events of this match, there occurs an interesting conversation I would like to provide, which is the first proper interaction of Isagi and Hiyori. It all came full circle now. Hiyori is super impressed at Isagi, asking him some questions in between goals, and whilst Hiyori can't give anything new to help Isagi improve in this current game, since this what if has already allowed Isagi to obtain Hiyori's advice early, he remarks that Isagi is on the right path in order to keep up with the players who on the surface are much more individually capable than he is, but instead of now improving on his strengths, why not tackle his weaknesses? Isagi is confused, but Hiyori can't give answers himself on how he should improve, so it comes down to Isagi himself to figure that out. What is his drawbacks? And how should he tackle them head on? The score of this match ends 5-3, with Nagi and Karasu scoring 1 goal for their individual sides, with Rin, Isagi and Shido scoring 2 goals for their sides as well. Isagi contemplates on what he should do next for him. He's not lacking in vision of the field or analysing plays at the moment, but he knows to maintain this currently unnamed ability to him, he needed to train in physicality. But can that get more specific? What would hold him back from getting a goal even through his efforts in building up an attack with his eyes? He decides to leave the thought process for now and revisit it at a later date, and as the rest of the matches conclude, Rin and Isagi's team stay undefeated as their level of understanding between each other far surpasses the other top 6 players' duo dynamics. Isagi and Rin understanding their individual desires to use each other to get goals for themselves is just the kind of twisted relationship these two need to have in order to strive and evolve. With the time that they have left, Isagi and Rin continue their constant training to compete with each other and also be ready for the match-offs between Sai Itoshi and the Japan U20 team. Ego of course provides his explanation of flow, and this is Isagi's moment to truly realise what he's been accessing all this time. Some much needed context in how Isagi can hold this immense state more effectively and provide him with more context of how to improve himself. Once again, going back to that very same idea in ensuring his goal chances aren't foiled. A couple more training days later and we can finally end this part off with the reveal of the Blue Lock 11 team. Hey, Future Raven here. I forgot the timeline. The timeline is supposed to be that they have the formation revealed to them, and then they go into training and then learning about the flow, because during that time, Ego is still picking substitutions for the Blue Lock 11. My apologies, I don't read my own manga. My belief was that this was a good place to leave off the part, but this was not in fact how they ended off the events of the third selection before going into the U20 match. My apologies, it doesn't really affect the outcome of the story anyway, so don't mind this, it's just a slight hiccup. A lot of the positions stay the same, with the only difference being Burū actually being on the starting lineup, leaving Atoya as a sub. And yes, Shido is once again picked to be Sai Itoshi's choice of striker from Blue Lock. It seems things are heating up, but how about we save the U20 match for the next part? What will happen with Burū being a starting player? How will Isagi's rapid development in this what if change the field of play? And how will Sai Itoshi view Isagi now that he's a much bigger threat than the original story? All that and more will be covered in part 4 of What If Isagi Got Hiyori's Advice Early. Leave your thoughts and opinions of what will happen in the next part in the comments down below. Before you all go, I want to say thank you so much for the support on the channel this year. I only started back in March, and yet the place that I've gotten to in such a small amount of time has been both an amazing experience and practically a dream for me. I will strive to make next year better, not only content wise, but whatever I may do alongside it. I have big projects and plans that I'm working on, and even helping people with. And I also have made amazing new friends to help me along the way, and even with my crippling Pokemon card addiction, I'm able to satisfy it with my YouTube bucks, so thank you so much for that. I will be transparent and say I won't ever be full-time. For me, it's merely a hobby to enjoy and express myself about my favourite series. I have other outlets that I'll need in order to just live a happy and healthy life, but if you wish to continue to support me, just leave a like on every video, subscribe if you haven't, and support the Blue Lock movie project that I'm taking part in. And stay tuned for big things as Blue Lock continues its story. Thank you all so much for watching, happy holidays, and until next year, peace.